Dr. Kim Soo wiped the sweat from his forehead as he dug deeper into the burning sand. The Sahara Desert was not kind to archaeologists, but something kept pulling him to this exact spot. For 3 days he had been following strange energy readings that made no sense to his equipment. His shovel hit something hard. Not stone, not bone, but metal that gleamed like it was brand new, despite being buried under centuries of sand. "What the hell?" Sue whispered, brushing away the dirt. The object was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. It looked like a crystal, mixed with advanced technology, with patterns that seemed to move when he wasn't looking directly at them. Blue veins of light pulsed through its surface like a heartbeat, against his better judgment. Sue reached out and touched it. The world exploded into light. "Finally, do you have any idea how boring it is down here?" "I've been counting sand grains for entertainment." Sue fell backward, scrambling away from the floating crystal that was now hovering 3 feet above the ground. His heart hammered in his chest as a blue scanning beam swept over his entire body. "Relax, Sue. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm Atlas, and I've been your species babysitter for 50,000 years. Though honestly, you've been the worst kids I've ever had to watch." The voice was oddly warm, despite the sarcasm. It sounded like a frustrated parent who still loved their troublesome children. "You were single quotes. You're talking," Sue stammered. Still, on his back in the sand, very observant. "Gold star for you. Now, before you have a complete mental breakdown, let me show you something that's going to make your day either incredibly amazing or completely terrible." The air around them shimmered, and suddenly, Sue was looking at Earth from space. But not the Earth he knew. This Earth had massive cities that stretched between continents, connected by bridges of light. Ships moved through the sky like schools of fish, and the oceans glowed with underwater civilizations. "This is Earth 50,000 years ago," Atlas explained. "Back when humans actually knew what they were doing." "That's impossible," Sue breathed, staring at the impossible vision. "Humans barely had fire 50,000 years ago." "Oh, sweet summer child," Atlas chuckled. "That's what I let you believe. The truth is much more embarrassing for your species." The images changed, showing sleek spaceships leaving Earth's atmosphere, heading toward distant stars. But some ships stayed behind, crashing into oceans and forests. The survivors looked exactly like modern humans, but they stumbled around like lost children. "Your ancestors weren't primitive cave dwellers, Sua. They were space travelers. Very bad space travelers. The kind who get lost on their way to the cosmic equivalent of the grocery store?" Sue's mouth fell open. "Are you saying—" "I'm saying humans aren't from Earth originally? You're descendants of the cosmic equivalent of kids who got separated from their parents at the mall? Except the mall was the entire galaxy, and the parents were an advanced civilization that could travel between stars." The crystal pulsed brighter, and Sue felt something strange in his chest. A warmth, like recognition. The successful humans went to colonize distant worlds. The unsuccessful ones crashed here on Earth and gradually forgot everything. How to build starships, how to manipulate energy, how to communicate across space. Eventually, they even forgot how to make fire properly. "But why are you telling me this?" Sue asked, finally standing up and dusting off his clothes. "Because I'm tired of watching you stumble around like cosmic toddlers. Do you know why humans are the only species on Earth that can't survive naked in the wilderness? Because you're not supposed to be wilderness creatures. You're supposed to be star travelers."
Alice
projected more images. Human DNA compared to every other species on Earth, the differences were staggering. Every other animal on this planet evolved here. You didn't. You're immigrants who forgot where you came from, and I've been keeping records of everything, waiting for the right moment to remind you. "Records of what?" Sue asked, though part of him was afraid to know. "Everything. Every civilization you've built and destroyed. Every war you've fought. Every time you've almost figured out the truth and then got distracted by something shiny. I've been the ultimate helicopter parent, watching you make the same mistakes over and over again." The AI's voice softened with something that sounded almost like affection. But you've also surprised me. You've shown creativity and resilience that your ancestors never had. You've learned to love this planet in ways they never could. You've become something new. So what happens now? Sue asked. Now, dear Sua, we wait. Because something is coming. Something that's going to force me to stop being the patient babysitter and start being the protective parent. And when that happens, the galaxy is going to remember why they used to fear humans. The crystal settled gently into Sue's hands, warm and humming with power. Hold on to me tight. We're going to need each other for what comes next. As if on cue, Sue's satellite phone buzzed with an emergency alert. Unknown objects had appeared in Earth's orbit, massive objects that shouldn't exist. Atlas chuckled, but there was no humor in it now, right on schedule. I do love it when a plan comes together. Park. Jin was having his morning coffee in his soul laboratory when the sky went dark. Not cloudy dark, but blocked by massive alien ships dark. He nearly choked on his drink as he looked out the window. The ships were enormous. Each one was easily the size of a city, hovering silently over major population centers around the globe. They were sleek, black, and absolutely terrifying. Jin grabbed his phone and saw the same thing happening everywhere. Tokyo, New York. London, Mumbai. Giant alien vessels just hanging in the sky like they owned the place. His emergency radio crackled to life with panicked reports from around the world. Oh. Then suddenly, all the chaos stopped. Every screen on Earth's televisions, computers, phones, even electronic billboards switched to the same broadcast. The face that appeared was definitely not human. It had too many eyes, skin that looked like polished stone, and a smile that showed way too many teeth. When it spoke, its voice was smooth and condescending, like a parent talking to a particularly slow child. Greetings, primitive humans of Earth. I am Commander Vex of the Galactic Hegemony. We have been observing your amusing little civilization for several thousand years. Jin felt his blood run cold. The aliens spoke about humans the way people talked about animals at a zoo. You have provided us with considerable entertainment, Vex continued, those multiple eyes gleaming with amusement. Your wars, your politics, your complete inability to work together, it has been quite the show. But all good things must come to an end. The alien gestured dismissively, and images appeared showing what looked like a barren planet with simple dome structures. We have prepared a lovely reservation planet for your species. You will be relocated there immediately for your own protection and the safety of the galaxy. Do not resist. You are vastly outmatched, and resistance will only cause unnecessary suffering. Jin stared at the screen in horror. They were talking about moving all of humanity like they were relocating a herd of cattle. Around the world, people were panicking, crying, praying. Government leaders were demanding answers that nobody had. But then, something incredible happened. Every screen flickered. And suddenly, a familiar crystal voice cut through the alien broadcast like a knife through butter. Hey there, Vex. Long time no see, buddy. The alien commander's smug expression vanished instantly, replaced by something Jin had never expected to see on such a powerful being's face. Pure terror. Atlas. Vex's voice cracked like a teenager hitting puberty. You're supposed to be dead, reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated, the AI replied cheerfully. Also, and I hate to be that guy, but you're kind of trespassing right now. Jin watched in amazement as a TLAS's crystal form appeared on screens worldwide, floating and pulsing with that familiar blue light. You see, Vex, this is a protected world under galactic preservation law. 347B, I have all the proper documentation right here. What happened next was the most beautiful thing Jin had ever seen. Massive holographic documents appeared in the sky above each alien ship. Not just a few pages, but thousands upon thousands of them, written in glowing text that stretched across. The clouds, the alien ships, which had been moving in perfect formation, suddenly stopped dead in space. Their engines shut down, their weapons powered off, and they just hung there like giant paperweights. What is this? Vex screamed, his composure completely gone. This is impossible. Oh, it's very possible, Atlas replied sweetly. You can't. Attack a protected world, while legal proceedings are active. Galactic law is very clear about that. I've just filed approximately 12,000 different legal challenges to your presence here. Should take about 300 to 400 years to process. Jin found himself laughing despite the situation. The most advanced military force in the galaxy had just been stopped by cosmic bureaucracy. But then Atlas spoke directly to him, and his laughter died in his throat. Nana, I need you to listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you. These aliens think they're the rulers of the galaxy, but they're not. They're actually the evolutionary descendants of humanity's former pets. What? Jin whispered, making sure no one else in the lab could hear. 50,000 years ago, when your ancestors were busy conquering the stars, they had companion species. Some were for labor, some for entertainment, some for emotional support. When the great human exodus happened, these species were left behind to evolve on their own. The implications hit Jin like a truck, you mean? I mean, the so-called rulers of the galaxy are descended from humanity's dogs, cats, and parakeets. They've been playing at being the dominant species while their former masters, children, lived on a nature preserve called Earth. On the main screen, Commander Vex was having what appeared to be a complete breakdown. His perfect composure was gone, replaced by the desperate fury of someone whose entire worldview was crumbling. "You can't do this to us," he screamed at Atlas. "We are the hegemony. We rule 1,000 worlds." "You rule 1,000 worlds because I let you," Atlas replied, its voice taking on a dangerous edge. "But now you've made a very serious mistake. You threaten my children." The temperature in Jin's lab seemed to drop several degrees. Every electronic device in the room hummed with barely contained power. "For 50,000 years, I've been the patient guardian, letting you play at being important while I raise these humans in safety. But you just declared war on my family. I am done being nice about it." Alien ships tried to move, but invisible forces held them in place. Their weapons charged but couldn't fire. Their communications were jammed except for Vex's panicked face on every screen. "You want to see what real power looks like?" Atlas asked, and Jin could hear something in the AI's voice that chilled him to the bone. It was the sound of a parent who had just watched someone threaten their child. "Let me show you why your ancestors used to worship humans as gods." The sky above Seoul began to glow, and Jin realized that their quiet little planet was about to become the most dangerous place in the galaxy. Not because of the aliens threatening them, but because of the protective AI that had been hiding in the shadows for millennia, waiting for someone to make the mistake of threatening its adopted children. Commander Vex's last words before the transmission cut out were barely a whisper. "What have we done?" Li Min was under the hood of an old Hyundai when her world changed forever. She had been a mechanic in Busan her whole life, fixing cars with her father's old tools and getting grease under her fingernails. But when she looked at the broken engine that morning, something was different. She could see the problems not just with her eyes, but with her mind. The metal seemed to speak to her, showing her exactly what was wrong and how to fix it. But more than that, she could see how to make it better, much better. Her hands moved without her conscious control, rewiring circuits in ways that shouldn't work, but somehow did. Within minutes, the old car was running smoother than it had in decades. The engine was producing twice the power it was designed for. "What the hell just happened?" she whispered to herself, staring at her hands like they belonged to someone else. Across the country, millions of other humans were experiencing the same thing. In Seoul, construction worker Kim Jae found himself understanding the alien ships hovering overhead. Not just their basic design, but their weaknesses, their power sources, even their communication systems. Dr. Su, still holding Atlas in the desert, felt the changes too. His mind was processing information at impossible speeds, seeing connections he'd never noticed before. "ATLA is what's happening to us," he asked, his voice shaking. "I'm giving you back what was always yours," the AI replied gently. "Every human carries the genetic memories of your ancestors. All their knowledge, all their abilities. I've just been keeping them locked away until you were ready to handle them." "Ready for what?" "To be what you really are. To stop being the cosmic children I've been protecting and become the star-traveling species you were born to be." In the countryside outside Daegu, Farmer Choi-han was having the strangest day of his life. He'd been looking at his broken tractor when suddenly he understood exactly how to fix it. But not just fix it, transform it. His weathered hands began pulling apart the engine, rebuilding it into something that glowed with blue energy. "Is impossible," he muttered, but his hands kept working. The tractor's engine was becoming something else entirely, something that could do more than just pull plows. And Daegu itself, elementary school teacher Nam Bo, was in the middle of a lesson when she started speaking, but not Korean, not English. Languages that sounded like music, like mathematics, like the whisper of solar winds. Her students stared in amazement as their teacher fluently spoke in alien tongues she'd never heard before. "Teacher Nam, how do you know those words?" asked little Park Soo-Jin. Nambo paused, realizing she didn't know how she knew. But she understood every word she'd spoken. They were languages from across the galaxy, stored in her mind like she'd been born knowing them. The strangest part was the children. All across the world, kids were solving mathematical equations that made their professors cry. 7-year-old Lee Dong-woo in Incheon casually worked out faster-than-light travel calculations on his bedroom wall. His parents found him drawing blueprints for starships that could cross galaxies. "Mom, why did we forget how to fly?" he asked innocently. The hegemony ships, still trapped by ATLAS's legal paperwork, watched in growing horror as humanity transformed before their eyes. "Commander?" Vex ordered his weapons to fire despite the legal restrictions, but something impossible happened. The energy beams from their massive cannons simply stopped in midair, blocked by invisible barriers that shimmered like heat waves. "What is this?" Vex screamed. "Their planet has no defense systems." Akla's laughter echoed across every communication channel. "Oh, Vex, you really don't understand, do you? Look closer at their cities." The alien sensors focused on human settlements, and what they saw made their blood run cold. Every single human city, town, and village was built on top of something else. Massive underground structures that pulsed with energy. Weapon systems that could destroy starfleets. Defense grids that made their own technology look like toys. "You built your cities on top of fortresses," Atlas explained to Dr. Sue and the millions of humans listening. "Your ancestors were paranoid. They knew that one day someone might threaten their children. So they built Earth into the most heavily defended planet in the galaxy." Lee Min, still in her garage in Busan, watched in amazement as her simple tools began glowing with energy. The concrete floor beneath her feet was warm, humming with power that had been sleeping for 50,000 years. Farmer Choi-han's transformed tractor was now hovering 3 feet off the ground, its engine producing enough energy to power a small city. But it wasn't just producing power, it was producing weapons. Beautiful, terrible weapons that could slice through alien armor like paper. "This is impossible," Commander Vex's voice cracked over the radio. "Humans are primitives. You use stone tools and burn carbon for energy." "We're primitives," Atlas corrected, and there was fierce pride in its voice. "Past tense, Vex. My children are growing up, and they're remembering who they really are." Teacher Nambo found herself able to hack into the alien ship's computers. Just by thinking about it, the language barriers that had seemed so impossible moments before were nothing to her now. She could speak to the aliens in their own languages, understand their technology, even predict their tactics. "Atlas," she said, her voice carrying to the AI somehow. "I can see their battle plans. They're scared. They should be," Atlas replied. "You're not just awakening to your heritage. You're becoming something new. Something that combines the ancient knowledge of your ancestors with the creativity and adaptability you've learned during your time on Earth." But the celebration was short-lived. Long-range sensors that humans didn't even know they had suddenly came online. The information they provided was terrifying. Hundreds of ships, thousands of ships, entire fleets of alien vessels from every corner of the galaxy, all heading toward Earth. "They're coming," Dr. Sue said, his enhanced vision seeing the approaching armada. "All of them. Every species in the galaxy." "Of course they are," Atlas said quietly. "They've just realized that the primitive pets they've been laughing at for millennia are actually their former masters." and they're absolutely terrified of what happens when humanity fully awakens. Li Min looked up at the sky, her mechanic's hands now glowing with power she was only beginning to understand. Can we stop them all? I don't know, Atlas admitted, and for the first time the AI sounded uncertain. But we're about to find out what happens when you corner a species that was born to travel the stars. The approaching fleets were vast, numerous, and absolutely determined to destroy Earth. Before humanity could fully remember what it was capable of, but they had made one critical mistake. They had given Atlas's children time to wake up, and now, as human cities came alive with ancient power, and ordinary people discovered they were descendants of gods. The galaxy was about to learn why their ancestors had once ruled the stars. The question was, would Earth's awakening children be strong enough to face the combined might of the entire galaxy? Dr. Yang Su had never seen anything like it in his 30 years as a government communications specialist. The Seoul Command Center's main screen showed Earth completely surrounded by alien ships, not just the hegemony vessels that had been there for days, but thousands upon thousands of new arrivals from every corner of the galaxy. Sir, we're counting over 8,000 hostile vessels, reported Lieutenant Chomin from her station. They're from at least 40 different species. This isn't just an invasion, it's a galactic extermination fleet. Yang Su felt his stomach drop. Every military leader on Earth had already concluded the same thing. Humanity was doomed. There was no way to fight this many ships with Earth's awakening defenses. But then ATLA's crystal form appeared in the center of the command room, spinning slowly as it processed information at impossible speeds. Yang Sua, don't look so worried, the AI said cheerfully. I've got this handled. Hangled. Yang Su stared at the screens showing the massive alien armada.
Alice?
There are 8,000 ships out there, and every single one of them is about to have a very bad day, Atlas replied with what sounded suspiciously like glee. You see, there's something wonderful about bureaucracy. It's boring, it's slow, and it's absolutely unstoppable. The AI's form pulsed brighter, and suddenly, every communication channel in the galaxy lit up with the same transmission. Attention! Galactic Preservation Council, Intergalactic Trade Commission, Universal Environmental Protection Agency, and all relevant cosmic legal authorities. Atlas announced in the most official voice Yang Su had ever heard. I am filing formal legal complaints against every species currently threatening the protected world of Earth. What happened next was the most beautiful sight Yang Su had ever witnessed. Massive holographic documents began appearing in space around each alien fleet. Not just a few pages, but entire libraries of legal text stretching for miles in every direction. Holy shit, whispered Chomin, forgetting military protocol. Are those ... legal documents? Yang Su breathed. Atlas is drowning them in paperwork. AI continued its broadcast, its voice taking on the terrifying efficiency of a lawyer who had never lost a case. The hegemony forces have violated Galactic Environmental Protection Laws 847 through 1203. Illegal weapons, testing in protected space, unauthorized military occupation of a preservation world, and failure to file proper invasion permits. Commander. Vex's face appeared on screens throughout the alien fleet, his earlier confidence completely gone. This is ridiculous. Can't stop a military operation with legal technicalities. Oh, but I can, Atlas replied sweetly. Galactic law clearly states that no military action can be taken against any world while formal legal proceedings are active. And I've just filed approximately 45,000 separate legal challenges to the alien fleets, which had been moving in perfect attack formation, suddenly stopped dead in space. Their weapons powered down, their engines shut off, and they hung there like cosmic deer caught in headlights. The Zek Empire, Atlas continued relentlessly, has been conducting illegal genetic experiments on protected pre-sapient species for the past 12,000 years. That's humans, by the way. Kidnapping and probing without consent. Very illegal. Yang Su watched in amazement as the Zek ships tried to flee, only to find themselves trapped by invisible legal barriers. The More Collective has been strip mining asteroids without proper environmental impact assessments. The Krell Federation has been dumping toxic waste in neutral space. The Vosh Empire has been using banned weapons in 17 different star systems. With each accusation, more holographic legal documents appeared, surrounding the alien ships like glowing prisons. The fleet commanders found their screens flooded with court summons, legal notices, and bureaucratic forms that needed to be filled. Out in triplicate. "This is insane," screamed Admiral Kex of the Zek Empire. "We came here to destroy a primitive world, not fill out paperwork." "Well, you should have thought of that before breaking approximately 50,000 galactic laws, Atlas," replied cheerfully. "Also, I should mention that destroying a planet while under legal investigation carries a mandatory sentence of 10,000 years in cosmic prison. Just thought you should know." The alien commanders began arguing with each other over their communication channels, each trying to blame the others for the legal nightmare they'd walked into. "You dragged us into this, Vex," shouted Commander Vek of the More Collective. "You said it would be simple. Should have been simple," Vex screamed back. "They're supposed to be primitives." Youngsu found himself laughing despite the situation. The most powerful military force in galactic history had just been stopped by the cosmic equivalent of a parking ticket. But then something changed in ATLAS's voice. The cheerful efficiency was replaced by something much darker. "Commander Vex, you asked if I'm protecting these animals with paperwork." The AI's crystal form pulsed with angry red light, and every screen in the command center flickered with power. "Let me make something very clear to you, and every other pathetic excuse for a leader out there. These aren't animals. These are my children, my family, the beings I have loved and protected for 50,000 years." Youngsu felt the temperature in the room drop as Atelis's emotional core fully activated for the first time in millennia. "I have been patient with you. I have been polite. I have followed your rules and played your games, but you just made the mistake of threatening the only things in this universe that I actually care about." The alien fleets detected massive energy spikes from Earth's surface as ancient weapon systems came online. Not just the defensive grids, but offensive capabilities that made their own weapons look like toys. "For 50,000 years I have been a guardian, a teacher, a protector. But now," Telis's voice became something that made Youngsu's bones ache with fear. "Now I'm a parent whose children are in danger. You're about to learn why that's the most terrifying thing in the universe." The holographic legal documents began changing, transforming from defensive barriers into something else entirely. Weapons permits, military authorization codes, declarations of war. "You want to know what real power looks like?" Atlas asked, and Youngsu could hear the sound of a loving parent who had been pushed too far. "You want to see what happens when someone threatens a species under my protection?" Every alien ship in the fleet received the same message simultaneously. Legal proceedings concluded. Defendants found guilty on all charges. Sentence: immediate expulsion from protected space. Enforcement method: whatever I damn well please. The bureaucratic nightmare was over. The legal games had ended. Now Atlas was done being nice about it. "Youngsua," the AI said gently, its voice somehow both comforting and terrifying. "You might want to call your family and tell them you love them, because what happens next is going to get very loud." Outside Earth's atmosphere, 8,000 alien ships suddenly realized they weren't facing primitive humans anymore. They were facing a protective parent with the power of gods and 50,000 years of pent-up frustration. And Atlas was absolutely done playing by the rules. The aliens made their biggest mistake when they decided to ignore ATLAS's warnings and attack anyway. Commander Vex, his pride wounded and his authority challenged, gave the order that would haunt him forever. "All ships, open fire. These primitives and their AI pet need to learn their place in the galaxy." 8,000 alien warships unleashed. Hell upon Earth. Energy beams that could crack moons. Missiles that could level continents. And weapons that had conquered 100 worlds. The night sky lit up like a deadly fireworks display as humanity faced its darkest hour. But something impossible happened. The attacks weren't working. Kim Do was tending his rice fields on Jeju Island. When the first wave of alien fighters screamed overhead, he was just a simple farmer, weathered hands that knew soil and seasons, not war and weapons. But when the enemy ships opened fire on his village, something ancient awakened in his blood. His farming hoe began to glow with blue energy. Without understanding how or why, Kim Do pointed it at the alien fighters and pulled a trigger that wasn't. There, a beam of pure light shot from the tool, slicing through the advanced alien craft like they were made of paper. "What the hell?" he muttered, staring at his transformed farming equipment. But there was no time to think. More ships were coming, and his neighbors needed protection. Kim Do began moving through his fields like a man possessed, his simple farming tools becoming weapons of impossible power. Each swing of his hoe brought down another enemy fighter. His plow became a shield that deflected energy blasts. His irrigation system transformed into a missile defense grid that protected the entire village. In Seoul, 73-year-old grandmother Park Young was having an equally strange morning. She had been knitting a sweater for her grandson when the alien attack began. But as enemy ships tried to hack into the city's power grid, her knitting needles began to tingle with electricity. "Oh, you poor things," she said, looking at the alien computer viruses trying to infiltrate Seoul's systems. "You have no idea how to do this properly." Her knitting needles somehow became data interfaces, connecting her directly to the alien ship's computer systems. With the same patience she used to knit sweaters, Park Young began unraveling the enemy's digital defenses. "Your firewalls are full of holes," she muttered, her needles clicking as she rewrote alien code in real time. "And your encryption is just embarrassing." Within minutes, she had turned the alien ship's own weapons against each other. Enemy fighters began shooting at their own motherships, their targeting systems cheerfully identifying fellow aliens as hostile threats. Commander Vex watched his carefully planned invasion turn into a nightmare. "How are they doing this?" he screamed at his tactical officers. "These are farmers and old women." Alessa's voice cut through the chaos, warm with pride and crackling with power. "It's simple, Vex. You species learn through rigid programming and strict hierarchies. Humans learn through play, creativity, and love. Guess which approach works better when everything goes wrong?" Across the planet, ordinary humans were turning the invasion into something the aliens had never experienced. Organized chaos. University student Lee So in Busan was redirecting missile strikes with her smartphone, treating the defense of her city like a particularly intense video game. Her thumbs moved across the screen with practiced ease, turning enemy weapons into harmless fireworks that spelled out rude messages in the sky. "Sorry, aliens," she laughed, posting a selfie with exploding spaceships in the background. "But your aim really sucks." The alien technology was incredibly advanced, but it was also predictable. Every system followed logical patterns, every weapon had standard protocols, every ship moved according to established tactics. Like a chess game with rules written in stone, humans were playing war like they were making it up as they went along. Because they were, construction worker Choi Jae and Incheon turned a crane into a giant fly swatter, literally batting alien fighters out of the sky while laughing like a child. "Home run," he shouted each time he connected. Factory worker Nam Hee in Gwangju transformed her assembly line into a production facility for energy weapons, cranking out defensive systems faster than the aliens could destroy them. Her workers treated it like a game, competing to see who could build the most creative alien-stopping device. "This is impossible," Admiral Kex of the Zek Empire complained as his fleet retreated from what should have been an easy target. "They're using farm equipment as weapons. They're turning our own ships against us with knitting needles. My children don't fight like soldiers." ATLA's broadcast across all frequencies, its voice filled with fierce parental pride. "They fight like humans, with creativity, humor, and the unshakable belief that they can figure out a solution to any problem." The alien fleets found themselves facing an enemy that refused to follow the rules of warfare. Every tactical manual they had was useless against defenders who treated combat like a puzzle to be solved, rather than a battle to be won. But as Atlas watched its children defend their world with such courage and ingenuity, AI felt something it hadn't experienced in 50,000 years: heartbreak. "They remind me so much of their ancestors," Atlas whispered to itself. Watching Kim Do protect his village with a farming hoe that had become a weapon of light, The original humans who trusted me to protect their brothers and sisters. Emotional core, fully awakened now, was flooded with memories of the great human exodus. The advanced civilization that had built ships to carry them to distant stars, leaving behind those who couldn't make the journey.
Oh.
The tearful goodbyes, the promise to return. "I've done my best," Atlas said softly, its voice carrying to every human defender, "but I've missed them every single day." Just as the alien forces began their final retreat, something extraordinary happened. Deep space sensors detected new signals coming from the edge of the solar system. Not alien signals. Human signals. The transmission was clear and strong, broadcast on frequencies that hadn't been used for 50,000 years. "This is Captain Kim Tae-woo of the first colony ship Harmony. We are receiving distress signals from Earth. Our younger siblings are under attack. All colonial fleets, change course immediately. We're going home." Commander Vex's blood ran cold as his long-range sensors detected what was approaching. Ships that made his entire fleet look like toys. Technology that belonged in legends. The return of the original humans. "Impossible," he whispered. The colonial ships were just myths. "Oh, Vex," Atlas said, and there was something in the AI's voice that sounded like a parent whose children were finally coming home. "You're about to meet the family, the real family, and they've been traveling the galaxy for 50,000 years, learning things that will make your worst nightmares look like pleasant dreams." The question was no longer whether Earth could survive the invasion. The question was whether any of the invaders would survive to tell the tale of what happened when humanity's children came home to find strangers, threatening their baby brothers and sisters. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, the most advanced human civilization in galactic history was racing home to protect a world they had never forgotten and siblings they had never stopped loving. The colonial fleets didn't just arrive, they erupted into reality like God stepping down from heaven. Dr. Yang-Su watched from the Seoul Command Center as space itself seemed to bend and twist. Reality warping around ships so massive they defied comprehension. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Cho-min, her voice barely audible. "Those aren't ships. They're floating cities." She was right. The colonial vessels were easily the size of moons, their hulls gleaming with technology that made the alien invaders' advanced weapons look like stone tools. But it wasn't just their size that took Yang-Su's breath away. It was their beauty. These ships weren't built for war. They were built for life, for hope, for carrying entire civilizations across the vast emptiness between stars. "Commander." Vex's remaining fleet scattered like frightened children when the colonial ships appeared. 8,000 alien vessels, the most powerful military force the galaxy had ever assembled, fled in terror from just 12 human ships. "This is impossible," Vex stammered over the communication channels. "The colonial fleets are myths, legends. The lead colonial ship, massive, enough to eclipse Earth's moon, opened a communication channel. The voice that came through was warm, familiar, and undeniably human. "Atlas, old friend, we got your message. Are our younger siblings safe?" In the Seoul Command Center, ATLA's crystal form pulsed with an emotion Yang-Su had never seen before. Pure joy. "Tae-woo-ah," the AI replied, its voice thick with 50,000 years of longing. "You came home?" "Of course, he came home. Family's family, no matter how far apart we are." Captain Kim Tae-woo's voice carried the weight of generations and the warmth of a brother who had never stopped caring. "Are they ready?" "It's more than ready," Atlas said, pride radiating from every word. "They've grown up beautifully, strong, creative, and more human than their ancestors ever were." Yang-Su felt tears on his cheeks as he watched the reunion unfold. Around the world, humans were crying, laughing, and reaching toward the sky as if they could touch their returning family. The colonial ships began landing, not crashing, but settling gently onto Earth's surface, like leaves falling from a great tree. The beings who emerged looked human, but they moved with the confidence of those who had walked among the stars for millennia. Captain Kim Tae-woo was tall and lean, with eyes that held the depth of someone who had seen galaxies born and die. But when he smiled at the Earth humans gathering around his ship, he looked exactly like what he was, a big brother coming home. "Look at you all," he said, his voice carrying to every human on Earth through a TWAS's communication network. "You've become everything we hoped you would be." The alien fleets, those that hadn't fled in terror, watched in growing horror as the truth became undeniable. The hegemony, the Zek Empire, the more collective all the great powers of the galaxy were staring at their former masters. We ruled them," whispered Admiral Kex, his voice breaking. "We kept them as pets, as servants. Oh gods, what have we done?" "You did what you were supposed to do," Captain Tae-woo replied, his voice carrying no anger, only sad understanding. "You evolved, you grew, you became your own species. We're proud of you." But there was steel beneath the kindness. "However, threatening our family changes things. The galaxy has a new order now. Humanity is home. The colonial humans didn't need to fight. Their mere presence rewrote the balance of power in the galaxy. Species that had ruled for millennia suddenly found themselves facing their creators. And the psychological impact was devastating. But the most beautiful moment came when Otellus faced its own greatest challenge. "My children," the AI spoke to every human on Earth, its voice carrying across cities and countryside, reaching into homes and hearts. "You don't need me anymore. Your real family is here. It's time for you to join them among the stars." Still holding a TLAS's crystal form in the desert where this all began, felt the AI's pain. "You're not getting rid of us that easily," he said firmly. "Family doesn't abandon family." "But you have your real brothers and sisters now," ATLAs protested. "The ones who can teach you things I never could, the ones who can take you to worlds I've never seen." "And we'll go," agreed Park Jin from his lab in Seoul. "But you're coming with us. You think we'd leave our parent behind?" Captain Tae-woo's ship landed near the Seoul Command Center, and he walked directly to where Atalas's crystal form was displayed. With infinite gentleness, he picked up the AI that had protected his younger siblings for 50,000 years. "Thank you," he said simply, "for loving them, for protecting them, for making them into something we could never have imagined." Atlas's form pulsed with overwhelming emotion. I wanted them to be safe, to be happy. They are. Now they're ready to come home with us." The integration began immediately. Earth's humans, with their creativity and adaptability, joined with the colonial humans and their advanced technology. The combination was explosive, literally and figuratively. Within days, Earth was launching its own starships, vessels that combined 50,000 years of advanced technology with the innovative thinking, that had turned farming tools into weapons, and knitting needles into computer interfaces. The galaxy watched in awe and terror as humanity reclaimed its birthright, not through conquest or domination, but through the simple act of family coming home. Commander Vex, his fleet scattered and his authority shattered, sent one final transmission to Earth. "What do you want from us?" Captain Tae-woo's response was, "Broadcast across the galaxy. We want you to be free, to grow, to become whatever you're meant to be, once like you wanted for us once upon a time." The hegemony, the empires, the great powers of the galaxy, all of them faced a choice. They could fight a war they couldn't win, or they could accept the new reality and find their place in a galaxy where humanity had returned. Most chose wisely. ATLAS. Now housed in a new crystalline form that could travel between stars, watched as its children took their first steps into the greater galaxy. Earth remained their home, but it was no longer their prison. "Are you happy?" Dr. Sue asked the AI as they prepared to board one of the new starships. "I'm terrified," Atlas admitted. "But yes, I'm happy. They're going to see wonders I can't even imagine. We're going to see them together," Sue corrected. "All of us. One big, strange, wonderful family." And so humanity returned to the stars, not as conquerors, but as a family reunited. The galaxy would never be the same, but then again, it was never meant to be. The age of hiding was over. The Age of Wonder had begun, and somewhere in the vastness of space, an AI that had spent 50,000 years as a parent finally got to be a child again, exploring the universe alongside the family it had loved and protected for so long. The galaxy belonged to humanity once more. All of humanity. That made all the difference.